Bonjour and welcome to French Action. Do you know how to write a complaint letter in French for DELF B2? Don't worry if you don't, let me guide you. Vous êtes prêts? C'est parti! I'm assuming that you can write a formal letter in French, and the type of letter we're talking about today is une lettre de réclamation, a complaint letter. Once you've written the addresses and the date, then you have to have the subject, which is objet. Here we're going to put réclamation because that's what we're talking about, concernant, but you have to mention the problem. So, is it un produit défectueux, a defective product, or is it un retard de livraison, a delay in delivery, or is it une erreur de facturation, a mistake in an invoice? That is up to you to decide. And then you put the reference number of the order or of the invoice. Now you're ready to start your letter. And remember, we always start with madame, comma, and monsieur, not the other way around, and always with a capital letter. So, this is my beginning. Je vous écris afin de vous faire part de mon insatisfaction face à une situation que je considère problématique. So, that is really your introduction, but you have to say about what, concerning what. So, you're going to specify the item, okay, or it could be a service as well. For example, is it the purchase of a particular item? So, if it's the case, you could say que je considère problématique concernant l'achat d'un portable, for example. Then you have to describe the situation. So, you could start with the connector, which is en effet, indeed, and then you describe the situation or the problem very specifically. And you give the date of the purchase and how you got it. And livraison is delivery. And of course, you have to describe the defect or anything which is not working. And then you can add cette situation ne répond pas aux attentes convenues. So this situation doesn't meet my expectations. Okay? Please spend the time on the description of the problem because you have a limit of 250 words. This is quite long, so these are quite a few words, so make sure that you say enough. And then you're going to have to mention the proofs, the evidence, okay? So you can't just say you're dissatisfied, but you're not attaching anything. So you can actually attach a copy of the invoice, copy de la facture, and photos of the product. Okay, so photo du produit. And the way you're going to write it in your letter, you can say veuillez trouver en pièce jointe les justificatifs. You have your two dots and then you put copie de la facture with the number, etc., des photos. Obviously, here I haven't put the articles, but you will have to put them there. And that will be for your evidence. In the next paragraph, you need to say what you want from them. Okay? So, indiquez ce que vous souhaitez. So, is it un remboursement, a refund, an échange, an exchange, especially if you have bought some items of clothing, une réparation, a repair, or is it l'annulation d'un service, which is the cancellation of a particular service. So the way you're going to write it in your letter would be something like face à cette situation, je vous demande de bien vouloir procéder à And then you say un remboursement, or à un échange, or à une réparation, or à l'annulation du service. I put du service because we would have talked about the service before. Then the rest is quite standard. Here, what you're doing, you want to ask them to look into your situation as soon as possible. So you would say something like, je vous prie de bien vouloir donner suite à cette demande dans les meilleurs délais. Meilleurs délais means as soon as possible. Et reste à votre entière disposition, and not remain at your disposal, pour tout échange complémentaire, for further information. And then you're going to end your letter, which is also something that you can learn by heart. Dans l'attente d'une résolution rapide de votre part, je vous prie d'agréer, Madame, Monsieur, l'expression de mes salutations distinguées. So for that part, there's not much to change, it's just standard, as I said. Voici un exemple. So I've already put my addresses, the date, and now I'm on the subject. Objet, réclamation concernant produit défectueux. So I just put keywords. You cannot write a full sentence for your object. Then I put référence, which is an invoice, which I'm going to send. Invoice A238K, I just made it up. And then here's the letter. Madame, Monsieur, je vous écris afin de vous faire part de mon insatisfaction à la suite d'une situation problématique concernant un article acheté dans votre magasin le 23 mai 2026. Il s'agit de l'appareil photo Kodak 240V, un produit de marque qui m'avait été fortement recommandé par l'un de vos conseillers de vente. Attiré par la réputation de votre enseigne et la qualité de vos articles, j'ai effectué cet achat en toute confiance. So you can see here, I put j'ai effectué cet achat as opposed to j'ai acheté. Cependant, dès la première utilisation, j'ai constaté plusieurs dysfonctionnements. So this is my description now. Bien que l'appareil s'allume et prenne des photos, il m'est impossible de les visualiser sur le petit écran, ce qui en limite l'usage. De plus, j'ai remarqué des égratignures sur cet écran, ce qui me laisse penser que l'appareil a déjà utilisé. In this paragraph, I try to insert a subjunctive. Of course, l'appareil s'allume could be subjunctive, but could also be present when you see l'appareil s'allume. So I had to find another verb to ensure that I can show the examiner that I know my subjunctive, and that's why I put prenne des photos. By the way, this, what I'm talking about, is something which happened to me, okay? I bought a camera, and that's exactly what was there. And then I continue. Je précise que cet achat avait été réalisé en prévision d'un événement important, à savoir un mariage ayant lieu le lendemain. Cette situation m'a donc causé un réel désagrément puisque je me suis retrouvée sans solution le jour J. Je tiens toutefois à souligner que j'ai habituellement confiance en la qualité de vos produits et que c'est la première fois que je rencontre un tel problème. Donc, of course, here, je tiens toutefois à souligner, it was really to pad it a bit so that I can come to the word limit. Because otherwise, I wouldn't have had enough words. If you look at the beginning, je précise que cet achat avait été réalisé. I put the pluperfect here because we are talking about a thought which had happened before the purchase of the camera. Okay, so the reason for purchasing that camera was for a wedding originally, which would have happened the following day, but it didn't. And then I decided to use a little expression, le jour J, D-Day, okay? Because you need to try to find some idioms from time to time. So there is one there. Et je tiens toutefois à souligner que this is a very good expression to remember. Veuillez trouver ci-joint les justificatifs nécessaires, notamment une copie de la facture, ainsi que des photographies de l'appareil et des défauts mentionnés. Okay? So here, ci-joint doesn't have an S because it's placed before justificatif. Okay? And then I'm going to continue with, par conséquent, je vous demande de bien vouloir procéder au remboursement de cet article dans les plus brefs délais. So here, I want a refund. I don't want an exchange, I want a refund. It's very clear from the letter. And then I finish off dans l'attente d'une réponse rapide et favorable. Je vous prie d'agréer, Madame, Monsieur, l'expression de mes salutations distinguées. So I hope you enjoyed this letter. Try to see how you can do yours. You have to learn some expressions to ensure that you can reuse them on le jour J. Bon courage à tous et bonne chance pour votre examen. Au revoir.